you know, a post on Facebook. You
And
know
which
me, I like to have fun
with very serious matters of state.
Actually,
National security issues.
It's one of the things I admire about us Ghanaians. We can see the funny side of everything.
Like demonstrators dancing and doing dance contests.
Absolutely. You know, and it's a good release, pressure release valve. You know, because times are tough. So, but some people thought that I was saying that I'm glad we're going for an IMF program. Like, who can be glad? Who can be glad?
I am
that
actually.
No, I'm not glad.
I am.
I recognize that it's necessary, but I'm not happy. I'm not pleased. You know, I'm not happy that we failed to manage our economy, and so someone has to come and tell us how to do it. I'm not happy about that, and it affects us all. Luckily, that fiscal discipline and all that will be a plus, so it will be a positive effect for us all. Okay, but at the same time, it just shows that we are not progressing economically. We're not progressing. We're not going. I don't know who can be pleased to acknowledge that truth. We're not progressing. None of the governments that we have stood in the sun to vote for have moved our economy forward.
Yeah.
And look, the promises, especially when it came to the economy, the promises that we had from this government,
the tier one team, the star players, the solid team.
I found a tweet. The date of this tweet is 6th of December 2016, the day before the election.
Yeah.
Many of you have lost trust in politicians because of broken promises, but I want you to give me the opportunity to serve you differently. Guess who?
Current President Nana Akufo-Addo.
Yes. Charlie, has this government served us differently? Have they served us differently? Well, I don't want to say how differently they have served us, but we haven't. Our economy has not moved forward.
Yeah.
Hey. So at the moment, our biggest cost item as a nation is debt servicing.
Paying the interest on loans.
We are slaves to our debt.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
If you ask me, listen, and there was something that mostly NPP people will tell everybody, that the NDC messes up the economy, the NPP fixes the economy. So when the NPP was coming into power, it was one of the things that they said, no, throughout history, we always come to fix the mess of the previous government. That's why this is the last time we're going to the IMF, for example. Then they'll tell you, but let's not forget, when the NPP came into power in 2017, we were on an IMF program. It was extended to 2019. And in 2019, somewhere May, there was a nice article and IMF staff wrote about how we should go forward and all of that. Finally, the very things that he said we had actually tried to restructure and move forward with are the main things that we are still having difficulties with now. So, one, the IMF program was to restore debt sustainability, the one we did previously, debt sustainability. Two, strengthen our monetary policy and clean up the banking system. Those are the three things that, of course, the other sublets of these main headlines. Going forward, there's a conclusion that's very important. It said that Ghana's economy is on the mend. That's 2019. The trade and budget deficits are narrowing. The pace of economic growth is poised to rise. And the inflation rate is projected to fall to 8% from almost 19% previously. Cuts to wasteful spending made room for secondary education. Ghana's 28 million people, it will add up, it adds up to higher incomes, better jobs, opportunities, and more purchasing power. This is what the IMF itself said we're leaving Ghana in 2019 with. Today, what has happened between 2019 and the year 2022? Now we are almost crawling back to an institution to say that we don't have credibility in the eyes of our investors. We need you back on board. Is that irresponsible father that takes loans consistently to pay for everything, but immediately he takes the loan and he's very convenient that he has done something small with the money. The rest of the money goes into partying, into buying luxurious cars, into getting more girlfriends, into doing the very things that the family is supposed to. But when it comes to making sure that we fix the problem, that loan is paid by the collective family. So yes, government will no longer be deploying programs like NAPCO, because no IMF program will support programs like NAPCO. Yes, government will no longer be supported in doing wasteful spending, the one that we cut by 2019. And which irresponsible man goes into 16 different programs of having somebody be the administrator of your bank?
16 times we have
Yes.
failed.
Look,
We have consistently said we are incapable. The thing that Nkrumah said, that the black African is capable of managing his own affairs, we have consistently said we are incapable of managing his own affairs. So
Yes.
I'm not one of those who's going to blame the IMF. Tough times ahead, people should just brace up for it.
oh
But
indeed, tough times
people
ahead.
should be made to account. People should be held responsible for putting us where we are today.
Why did we develop the appetite for borrowing? It's a question we should
That's
ask
why we said you are
ourselves.
clean books.
But why did we develop that appetite? Who are the true beneficiaries
Thank
of our
you.
borrowings? That's where we must start the conversation from. Who are the beneficiaries of our borrowing?
Who benefits every time
Whenever
you
we
go for
borrow.
a bond?
Who are the transactional advisors?
Cui bono?
And that's the beginning of our investigations. That must be. And that will be the beginning of an end to our problems. Because we have this appetite for borrowing, because somebody benefits in this country. You see, when you're brought into government and you think that you are the only team that can steer the affairs of the nation, you'll have a problem. When government thinks that anybody who criticizes, and listen to this carefully, criticizes, not condemns, criticizes, doesn't like the nation, that government is bound to fail. Why do I make this point? Look, whenever people talked about this government and its appetite for borrowing, they said, you people just do not understand what we are doing. And that Ghana,
And that collectively, the experience of the people in this
and
area are
you
over
see,
70%.
collectively, we used statistics to continuously borrow. We used the primary balance surplus and
Yes.
said, minus interest payments,
Rate of debt accumulation.
minus interest payments, our total expenditure is able to take care, our total revenue is able to take care of the total expenditure minus interest payments.
And exclude metal
Meanwhile, interest payments were rising. So we were borrowing at a point to pay our interest payments, and we still did not see anything wrong with it. We continued. You ask yourself that simple question: what have we done with the monies that we borrowed? That today we can look back and say these projects can actually generate income and pay off the loans that we went for as a country.
Smart borrowing.
Smart borrowing we talk about. What did we do with all these funds? And I'm sure government will begin to struggle. Look, Kojo, if you show that you're not capable of managing your own affairs, somebody will come and manage your affairs for you. Under the circumstance, we have shown that we are unable to manage our affairs. Let me just end on this note. We seem to live the lie that but for COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine, our economy would have been better. In 2019, the World Economic Outlook,
Yes.
we had been told that the Ghanaian economy was at risk of high debt distress. So just 1 year, after IMF, 1 year that we decided to be in charge of our economy, we are at high risk of debt distress. Let nobody deceive you. Let us not deceive ourselves that but for COVID-19 would have been better off. We were getting there already. When we were already facing problems.